Looking back on the 2020 protests, they were the marches heard all around the world. And now, 3 years later, Portland is still dealing with many of the impacts. Today, city leaders heard an independent review which found in part Portland police relied too much on tools like tear gas to disperse crowds. Holding our leaders accountable, Joelle Jones listened in on that session. She's live tonight with the details and the suggested next steps in all this. Joelle?
That's right, Liz. And this 95-page report was commissioned as part of the city's settlement agreement with the Department of Justice. And in addition to finding that police relied too heavy on projectiles, it also found that officers used force more than 1,700 times, racking up 113 complaints just in the month of June alone.
People were angry, and we needed leaders out there, and we needed them out there to say that we hear you. Instead, we were throwing bullets.
A fresh look at an old wound for Portland. Today, an independent review of how Portland police and city government handled the racial justice protests and ensuing riots of 2020 was presented to City Council.
One of the most sort of common expressions of emotion that we heard from Portlanders was surprise, a sense of surprise about what they perceive to be a militarized response by the Portland Police Bureau, and a sense of not being prepared for what crowd control might look like.
The report, conducted by Independent Monitor LLC, found the harms from those 6 months of chaos on Portland streets were manifold. Scores of people who sought to protest peacefully were exposed to tear gas, and in some cases targeted with less lethal impact projectiles, resulting in a range of injuries from bruises to broken bones.
It's more than a little disappointing that the review had to be done at all after PPB conducted 2 internal reviews, giving themselves high marks for their work, injuring, gassing, and traumatizing thousands of ordinary Portlanders trying to march in support of Black lives.
The report also highlights the strain on officers, with investigators finding police obtained nearly 450 injuries during the review period. Investigators state both police and protesters complained that PPB leaders did not always enforce consistent rules of engagement, saying on some night protesters could approach police buildings freely, but would be met with tear gas and munitions on other nights.
When those sort of rules of engagement are not consistent on a night-to-night basis, it can cause officers and community members to begin to doubt the sort of logic and legitimacy of the department's approach.
To help rebuild public trust, the report put forth 12 recommendations, including rebuilding mutual aid and dramatically cutting tear gas use. Mayor Ted Wheeler did not attend the session in person, but virtually addressed the council, acknowledging there was much he and police could have done differently during that stressful time.
As difficult as it is to look back on probably the most challenging times in the history of our city, I can't underscore enough the value of reflecting on those challenges and finding a path forward in the spirit of improvement and growth.
Now, moving forward, the city has agreed to adopt those 12 recommendations included in the report, with Independent Monitor slated to assess the city's progress in 180 days. We have included that full report along with those recommendations at coin.com. And of course, we will continue to follow this. But live from the Justice Center, I'm Joelle Jones, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, and your work on accountability, I know you'll keep us updated. Joelle, thank you.